a lot of times, like, you don't, if you don't put a human face on this, it's so easy to get caught up in the politics of it and everything like that. So is there one particular story, maybe one couple, one person, whatever, something that with you being there, facilitating this and making it happen, like one story that you want to share with the world, like what's that story?
Unfortunately, the stories that I most want to share with the world are, perhaps out of my own frustrations, are the people who are having to hide their own wedding days, the people who can't be on our page, the people who can't tell anyone, the people who are paranoid about me even taking pictures on their own cell phones.
Wow.
Just all the complications of it. But that said, one of the reasons, and by the way, I encourage anybody who's following this to check out the Facebook page Team Rainbow Dress, because we've got so many pictures of so many happy couples. One of Michelle's really good focuses have been, let's get couples kissing. Let's stop letting people act like this is different or abnormal. We want to see these couples kissing on their wedding day like you would want any couple to kiss. We've had some really cute couples coming from across state lines. Probably the one instance that has really sealed a lot of how I think about this was the woman who came out and said through her tears, it doesn't say civil union, it doesn't say domestic partnership, we have a marriage license, and then broke down crying again. And that was the moment that I wish everybody who says, well, they should be happy with this, could have seen.
Awesome. All right. Well, Sean, please don't sabotage the show after that wonderful story. What question do you have? One question, then we've got to move on.
I'm not going to sabotage the show. In the Proposition 8 case, they ruled on an issue of standing, right? So basically, they just ruled that the group that was suing to get Proposition 8 reinstated, that they had no legal grounds to sue. So basically, the court punted and didn't give them a national right to marriage. If this Arkansas case goes to the court, like, how do you feel about being a part of a case or being a part of like a movement in your state that could potentially lead to a national right to marriage? Because they can't punt on it. There's no standing issue.
That would be ideal, essentially. I also think, even if the court case doesn't get pushed in that direction, I think that this state this state following the path of progress would be a big cue to other states if they can't hold it off any longer. But I mean, part of all of our excitement this week has been being part of history in addition to being there for all these individual people. I think even actually in the day-to-day, it's really easy to lose sight of the fact that this could be part of history, because there's so many wonderful people coming in and you're hearing their stories and you're focused on trying to make sure everything goes smoothly for them. But for Arkansas, of all the states, to be the state that sort of set off that domino would be, it wouldn't quite make up for Little Rock 60 years ago, 50 years ago, but it would come close.
And of course, Becca, they're referencing the Little Rock 9. People don't realize that you've got kind of Virginia on the east and Arkansas on the west are kind of these gateway southern states where if change comes, it comes in through one of those two gates. Whether it's Arkansas with the private option or gay marriage, Arkansas really has the potential to be the game-changing state that gets things going in the South, and that's something. The Little Rock 9 kind of being a big exception to that rule. Hopefully we can be a force for good.
You were talking earlier about how people are afraid to post their pictures of themselves, like associated with your like groups in any way. This is one thing that I love the court case decision. I love Piazza's decision and all that. But do you feel that the courts overturning a law like this creates a bigger backlash because you get all that people ginned up about judicial activism than if it was a legislative move? Like, do you feel like that makes the backlash worse? That's my question.
I am sort of two minds about that. I certainly agree that having any sort of judiciary overturning, like anything that says we're going to overturn this thing that the people said, even if it's a decade ago, does, yes, lead to more backlash in some ways. On the other hand, I think this was a decision that was always going to have backlash. We've certainly seen that in states that are traditionally held to be much more liberal than Arkansas. And that's why we have a balanced system. Is so when there's an area of disagreement about this, where the majority of people are benefiting from it, LGBT identities don't make up the majority population of Arkansas. But that somebody has to be there to say that doesn't mean you can take their rights away just because there are more of you. That is that branch of government's purpose.
Yeah, and I think the fact that this was a constitutional amendment, it kind of almost had to be a court decision because it's really, really hard for a legislature to overturn a constitutional amendment like that.